Yeah, she's cooked. Ah, fuck me, that's tight. It's tight. Why is that so tight? That must have never come off, ever. It's 25 years of history. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm back on my 96 540i, the E39 540i. This is the very first of the E39 540s. And it's my very first E39. This is the car that sort of started my, my obsession with the E39s. Now I've had this car for quite a little while now. And actually when I took it on the test drive, I realized that the rear windows weren't working. So that was immediately put on my to-do list, but as soon as I got the car and the more important things sort of took over and nobody ever went in the back seats, I forgot that the rear window regs weren't working. And then after I had this for a little while, I fell in love with the E39s, and then I bought my black one, the LCI, and that's when I just put this into storage. And when it was actually put in storage, I never even saw the car. It was in a completely dark warehouse at our other factory. So I sort of forgot about it, to be honest. And then since moving and relocating to here, where I actually see it every day and it doesn't get to sleep inside, unfortunately, it's basically staring me every day and reminding me that I need to fix its rear window regs. So that's what I've made a priority for this past week. I jumped online and I bought just some aftermarket ones from China. They're incredibly cheap, actually. Basically, it is just an aftermarket regulator assembly. There is no motor. You can just unbolt the original motor and put it onto this regulator. I've never actually seen an electric motor fail, not just on BMWs, but on any car. Usually it's just the regulator, whether it's a clip or the pulley or even the metal cables. I've seen cables snap and the motor just keeps turning, keeps working away. So you can usually get out of it pretty cheaply, which is what I've done here. Now the reason for today's video is I actually did the driver's side last night and I was a bit surprised. It was a very in-depth window regulator job. On most cars, it's pretty simple. You literally just take off the door card, you can get to the window regulator and put the new one in. But on these E39s, on the rear doors anyway, you have to actually pull out the window glass, which I thought was a little bit weird. And to pull the window glass out, you've got to actually pull the door trims off to get enough room. So it took me a little while to work out. I was just pulling lots of things apart, but putting it back on, it went together really quickly. And I thought, if you know what you're doing and know exactly what to take off and how to do it, you'll probably be able to get one of these done and changed pretty quickly. So hopefully, if you do need to do your E39 rear window regulators, this will help speed up the process. So let's get into it. Now, to get started, you will need, or to get the job done, I should say, you will need an assortment of screwdrivers, a very small flat blade, plus a decent sized Phillips head or a medium sized Phillips head, a trim removal tool, a ratchet and sockets, and a Torx bit set. Now first of all, you want to remove everything that is holding the door card onto the door, which is, well, obviously going to be the door handle and the window switch and the courtesy light down here. So I start with the window switch, which you want to be really careful because of the leather and you've got a metal screwdriver, so be gentle, don't rush, don't push too hard. Okay, so coming in from the top, it came out much easier than from the bottom. And rather than just trying to reef it out really quickly, you just sort of pull it out slowly around the edges. And unplug that. The door handle, there is a screw in the middle with a little plastic cap. So you pop the cap out with your flat screwdriver, then use the Phillips screwdriver, pull the screw out, and then put it aside, keep it safe. And then the courtesy light down the bottom, which, yep, that'll just pull out with your fingers, bang, and unplug. Cool, everything's loose. Now, with your trim removal tool, you want to pull the door card off, which is, well, it's just being held in with the plastic clips, and then across the top here, and the top is actually hooked over. So, to do that, you basically just want to get your trim tool in there. Again, go gentle. Once you've got the door card off, now is a really, or whilst you're doing the window regulator, I should say, now is a really good time to check the condition of your vapor barriers and make sure she is sealed down the bottom. Whereas this, the glue looks pretty dry, so I'll give that a re-bead and reseal it. Pull the wires out of the way so they don't get ripped off, and then just peel what is left of the glue away, like so. here is what actually holds the window glass onto the regulator. The easiest way I found to do it is to actually drop the window down to here so that you can unbolt the glass down here. It's a little bit easier to get some flex to then come off of that plastic clip that sort of locates the glass onto the reg, and then that lets you slide the glass out and then gives you easy access to unbolt the regulator from the door. Okay, it is a T30 that holds the glass onto the window regulator. So let's crack that and see what happens. Okay, that wasn't very tight. That was weird. It was really loose. So that's completely out, and the window does not want to move at all. There we go. It's hitting something. All right, I'll pull the door trims off from the front and try and get the glass out. That might be enough movement in the glass to get it to come down. Okay, the first one that needs to come off is actually this interior trim, which you can do by pulling from this side where the main glass is, not where the quarter glass is. It's actually a really soft piece of trim, so it should come off without too much trouble. Then you want to undo these 3 screws. And that lets you pull it off from the front side. Okay, I got the glass down a little bit further, which lets a little bit more flex, a little bit more wiggle. She's tight, but once you can get the window down and pull this inner rubber sleeve off, or the rubber runner, you can then pull the top out a little bit, and once the top is out, you should be able to slide it up. Still so tight. Okay, now the window just moved a little bit. So you can see how far that was slid in the door. Now the next is this trim across the top, this chrome trim. And to do that, literally just push it from the back, or lift up from the back, I should say, not push it. Which you may have to get your trim removal tool. Now if your clips are tight like this, don't just keep pulling it from the back or pull too quickly or pull too hard, because that is a very thin metal, and if you bend it, it will be incredibly hard to get it perfectly straight. And if it has a bend in it, then it will just look terrible when it's on the car, because yeah, it'll stand out like dog's balls. Having a little kink in the window trim. Cool, finally. So now that that trim is off and that trim is off, you should now have enough space to pull the glass out. Make sure to put this somewhere safe, like in the middle of the floor, so that nobody stands on it. From here, you remove the motor from the car, because it's obviously connected to the window regulator at this point, which is a T20. In terms of getting the actual window regulator out of the door, it is just the top and the bottom bolts that I was talking about earlier. The top is an E12 and the bottom is just a 10mm bolt. The bottom you can't get to with a ratchet, so you do need a spanner, and you sort of pop the spanner in and then you can undo it. The bottom bolt you haven't got to take completely out, because it's actually on a slide. So once you loosen it a few turns, you should be able to just slide the reg upwards. Once it's out of the way a little bit. Where's the motor gone? Go that way, slide it up, cool. And then out. And there she is. Now the first thing you want to do is compare the one that you've just taken out to your new replacement, to make sure that A, it's the correct side, and B, that it is the correct part and it's going to fit correctly. And as you can see, these two do look identical. So I'll unbolt them now and pop that motor onto here. And yeah, to do that, you basically just line the splines up and then bolt it up. So before it goes back in, I'm gonna put that bottom bolt in so I can just slide it in and haven't got to then worry about threading it completely when it's in the tight door. Wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. So the bottom one is located, and then I line the top one up. Now I'll work on the bottom one. Oh, she's solid. Now the motor. Now before I go too far, now that the window reg is bolted in the top and the bottom and the motor is secure, I'm going to make sure that this window regulator does actually work. Once I plug it in. Now the window regulator is plugged in, I'm going to make sure it does actually work. Cool. We're on the assembly. She's all back together, and she works. Job done. Awesome. We have rear windows now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have found this useful, and if you have, please hit the like button, and if you're new here, subscribe, because we've got plenty more videos to come on these E39s. And until then, peace.